Raider Nation, what's up? Today we're diving into some wide receiver prospects that I'd love to see the Las Vegas Raiders target in the 2025 NFL Draft. I'll be breaking it down round by round, so let's get into it. First things first, Las Vegas is absolutely going to draft a wide receiver. With 9 total picks, we're in a prime position to add some talent to the receiving core. No disrespect to the current group, but let's be real, it's lacking. If the season were to start right now, your top 3 target getters might be Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and surprisingly, maybe even Kyle Phillips, given his connection to Chip Kelly. But even with these names, we still need more firepower at receiver. The Raiders have been looking to strengthen the position all offseason, and if you're into draft content, I released a video earlier this week on running backs, and I plan to cover every position leading up to the draft. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest Raiders draft info. Now, let's get into round 1. Pick number 6. There are some wide receivers likely to go in the first round, but I don't think there's a receiver I'd want the Raiders to take at number 6. This might surprise some of you, but after my recent video, I've cooled off on mcmillan. Don't get me wrong, I like the kid, but I'm not as confident in that pick anymore. Some receivers that could be in the mix for the first round include Demario McNeil, Matthew Golden, and Emeka Egubka. If I had to pick one that I think the Raiders might target, it's probably egubka. He's not going to slip to the second round, though, so if the Raiders look to trade back in the first round, I could see them going after him rather than McMillan. Let's shift gears to round 2. Pick number 37. This is a spot where the Raiders could very well target a wide receiver. Round 3 is another round I'll be watching closely, as it's becoming more and more likely that one of my top picks might be available here. If you ask me which wide receiver the Raiders could go after early in the draft, not in round 1, but earlier than round 3, I'd say Jaden Higgins out of Ohio State. Higgins is a big, versatile receiver who can play both inside and outside. He's an athletic talent with a huge catch radius, standing at 6 feet 7 inches. His route tree may be a bit limited, and he's not known for making a ton of yards after the catch, but at 6 feet 7 inches, he's a physical presence. If you're someone who's high on McMillan at number 6, I'd personally rather wait until pick number 37 and snag a guy like Higgins. He's got a work ethic that coaches love, and I think he'd be a great fit for the Raiders. Now, there's another receiver I want to mention, but I'm not sure if he'll be available at pick number 37. Luther Burden is a bit of a mystery for me. Some experts have him going in the top 20, while others think he might fall to the mid-second round. It's a tricky situation, but here's what I know. The Raiders recently had a private visit with him, which is pretty important. Burden has a great ability to separate, and he can be effective on all 3 levels of the field. He reminds me a bit of a more athletic version of Tyler Lockett when Lockett was first entering the league, great with the ball in his hands and a solid deep threat. If Burden is there for the Raiders, he could be a big-time player for the offense, and they could use him in a similar way to how Seattle used Lockett early on in his career. So many years with Geno Smith, right? His skill set really complements what Geno does best, throwing the football downfield. Another receiver I'm keeping an eye on comes from Stanford. I love his combination of height, weight, and long speed. He's got a strong work ethic, which is something the Raiders will definitely appreciate, and he has the traits that suggest rapid improvement. This is a guy who kept getting better each season in college, something this coaching staff values. Now, I have to mention Elijah Moore. I always stumble over his name, but he's a player who really impressed me when I watched him this past season. At 6 feet 2 inches, 210 pounds, he's got a solid game, and his style reminds me a bit of Jacoby Myers. He may not be the flashiest athlete, but he does all the little things well. For me, though, he's more of a backup option at pick number 37. I'm not in love with taking him here, especially with the other receivers available, but if he's still on the board in round 3, that's a different story. I just don't think he'll be available at pick number 68, though. Now let's talk about round 3, pick number 68. If I had to bet, I'd say this is where the Raiders end up targeting a wide receiver. And if I were to make an educated guess, the receiver most likely to be drafted by the Raiders is Jalen Noel. Why? Well, he's the only receiver to have both a formal combine meeting and a top 30 visit with the Raiders. His acceleration is among the best in this class, and he's great at separating. He runs crisp, quick routes, which is going to be crucial for this offense. Plus, he offers that kick and punt return ability. Watching his tape, it's clear he's a big playmaker after the catch. Last season, he had 80 catches for 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns for Iowa State. What stands out with Noel is his ability to create quick, intermediate plays, something Geno Smith did well with Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN, on third downs. Imagine adding Jalen Noel, Brock Bowers, and Jacoby Myers to the mix. I could see Noel grabbing 60 to 70 catches in his rookie year. Moving on to another receiver the Raiders have been eyeing for the X-receiver role, Trey Harris. He's someone who could step in right away and contribute as an X-receiver on many NFL teams. I don't necessarily view him as a true number one, but I see him as a strong number two option because of his blend of size and speed. At 6 feet 3 inches, 205 pounds, he's made improvements in his route running and contested catchability, showing real growth as a receiver. He has that 4.54 speed and long strides that help him consistently run past defenders. I don't want to make a direct comparison to DK Metcalf, since Metcalf is a freak athlete. But if you're looking for a lesser version of that type of player, Harris could be the guy. Here's the question I want to throw out to you. Which round do you think the Raiders will take a receiver? We all know they're going to grab one, right? Whether it's in round 2 or round 3, I'm predicting that the Raiders will land a wide receiver on day 2 of the draft. I'm confident that one of the names I mentioned today will be on the roster, but only time will tell. Let's switch gears and talk round 4. Pick number 108. When we get into day 3 of the draft, there's a big tier gap between round 3 and round 4. But after that, we're looking at a group of players who can help in different ways. One player I'm keeping my eye on here is Savin Williams. I'll be honest, I don't think he'll make it this far. Someone's likely going to take a chance on him earlier, probably in day 2. But I'm putting him here in round 4 because of fit. He's a gadget athlete who can bring some versatility to the offense. He's got that perfect blend of size and explosiveness. His route running is a bit raw, but if I were a coach like Chip Kelly, I'd find ways to get the ball in his hands early and often. At 6 feet 5 inches, 225 pounds, you can tell he's an incredible athlete. Imagine the impact of players like Cordarrelle Patterson or Percy Harvin. Both are great comparisons for his style. He showed just how elite his athleticism is at the NFL Combine, but because I'm not confident in his ability to be a reliable receiver right out of the gate, year 1 or 2, I'd wait until round 4 to grab him. Another receiver that's tough to evaluate right now is Kyle Williams from Washington State. Some scouts think he's a potential round 1 pick, while others argue he's one of the top wideouts in this class. I'll admit, when you watch him play, it's easy to fall in love with his skills. He's a bit undersized, but he's fast and excels at creating vertical separation. He catches the ball like a center fielder, and while his hands aren't the best, he's dynamic with the ball in his hands. He can generate plenty of chunk plays, and when you give him the ball, defenders often look like they're skating on ice. Last season, he recorded 70 catches and 14 touchdowns. He's from Englewood, California, and he's definitely one to watch. But the big question is, where will he end up? Personally, I'd target him in round 4 for the Raiders. Let's shift to round 5, where the Raiders have pick 143. There are a few names I want to mention here. First, I'll be honest. Tez Johnson is a player I'm lower on than some others. I know the Raiders met with him at the Combine, but I don't think he'll make it to this point in the draft. If he slides past round 3, expect Denver to snatch him up, considering he's Bo Nix's brother. While he may not have the best 40-yard dash time or size, I do think he's more of a football-fast player. His hands are below average, his frame is small, and his route tree is pretty limited. That said, at round 5, this is a great value pick for the Raiders, and his combine meeting with them is why I've included him here. Still, I wouldn't feel comfortable drafting him any earlier than this. If I had to choose someone else in this spot, I'd go for Nick Nash, a wide receiver from San Jose State. He's an explosive leaper with great full-body extension, which helps him win 50-50 balls. I also love his competitive drive. Originally a quarterback, he switched to receiver, and that transition shows in his play. He's super coachable, and you can see how much effort he's put into his development, getting bigger, faster, and stronger. Just look at how he progressed from 2023 to now. Nick Nash is one of the most competitive wideouts in this class, and his work ethic is off the charts. For a more athletic version of Keelan Doss, Nash is your guy. While Doss is a fan favorite among Raiders supporters, Nash has the higher upside. And if you're looking for someone with incredible drive and athleticism, he's a solid pick in round 5. Now let's look at round 6, where the Raiders have 3 picks: 180, 213, and 215. I've got two receivers in mind here. The first is someone I'd target at pick 180, and the second is someone I'd consider in the 213 to 215 range. The first name I want to mention is Isaac Tesla, a wide receiver from Arkansas. Isaac Tesla is a great combination of athleticism and physicality. While he may not look exactly like Matt Collins, when I watch him play, I see some similarities. Tesla had a strong combine and an impressive senior day, which will likely boost his stock. He's a physical player who loves to block and isn't afraid to mix it up. His ability to play on special teams will make him an asset, and at 6 feet 3 inches, 214 pounds, he has the size and athleticism you look for in an NFL receiver. However, his production at Arkansas wasn't amazing, which could be attributed to the offense or quarterback play. Despite that, it's hard to ignore his raw athletic ability. He's actually one of the more impressive athletes in this wide receiver class. The downside is that he's not yet a great receiver, so while you may not rely on him to contribute immediately as a top wideout, if you liked what Matt Collins brought to the team, you might also appreciate Tesla in round 6. Next up, Ty Felton, a wide receiver from Maryland. He's another solid athlete, but his major concern is his size. He's just too skinny. If he gets in a weight room and puts on 10 to 15 pounds of good muscle, I think we could see a significant improvement in his game. He tracks the deep ball well, especially on passes thrown over his shoulder, which fits well with what a quarterback like Geno Smith excels at, putting the ball in tight spots 20 to 30 yards down the field. However, my concern with Felton is that he struggles against physical cornerbacks. Whether it's dealing with press coverage, fighting for contested catches, or even just running routes, if a cornerback is able to be physical with him, he struggles to match up. He had a lot of catches, yards, and touchdowns at Maryland, but the offense kind of relied on him too much, which made him more of a focal point. The Raiders wide receiver coach, Chris Bay, has ties to Maryland, which could be an advantage if the Raiders are considering Felton. He's someone to watch in the early 2000s in the draft. Finally, let's talk about round 7. At this point in the draft, you're looking for special teams contributors, or guys who can fit into the locker room as solid depth. Ricky White, a wide receiver from UNLV, is the player I target here. He's already said he would love to be a Las Vegas Raider, which gives him a bit of a personal connection to the team. The Raiders don't need to have a top 30 visit with him because he's a local player, but his passion for joining the team could make him a great fit. I'm not sure he'll ever be an NFL receiver in a starting role, but he's a standout special teams player. He's known for rushing punters and jamming gunners, and Jugs even mentioned to me that Ricky White had 4 punt blocks in the 2024 season. Definitely a valuable trait in round 7. He didn't have the best quarterback play at UNLV, but his numbers were still solid. If he's able to contribute as a wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 6, I think he'd be a great addition to the team, much like Christian Wilkerson. Wilkerson is known for being a limited athlete, but contributing enough to stay on the roster. Ricky White could follow a similar path while also making an impact on special teams.